Coming out of Purdue, you do have this sense of you're able to take on the world. And sometimes you may feel as if you can take on the world by yourself. Be humble. And when you learn about that business, continue to build on your knowledge.
From Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana, this is Techies Today, the Purdue Polytechnic podcast. I'm John O. Melody Birmingham-Byrd came to Purdue to study accounting, but she found her calling in technology management after she started her studies in organizational leadership. Melody graduated in 1994 and has been a supervisor throughout her career, including more than 7 years with Duke Energy. Dean Gary Bertolini visited with Melody during Purdue's recent sesquicentennial celebration, in which the university noted 150 years of giant leaps by students, faculty, staff, and graduates. Melody revealed the inspiration for her career in management and shared advice for current and future students. A quick behind-the-scenes note: we recorded Melody for a video that you can see in the Giant Leaps series on the Tech Purdue YouTube channel. And at the time, we did not anticipate sharing this extended length edition, including the Dean's questions, here on the podcast. So Dean Bertolini's parts of the conversation will sound a little different. Here's Melody Birmingham-Byrd.
We're in Plainfield, Indiana. You're at Duke Energy, Indiana. This is the headquarter building for our Indiana operations, where I am the state president.
So what was your major at Purdue University?
Well, when I first entered into Purdue, I started in the Krannert School of Business. I began my studies in accounting. And like 33% of most college students, I changed my major and moved over into the School of Technology, completed my degree in organizational leadership. The School of Technology is now the Polytechnic Institute, and so I'm a proud graduate of that school.
So do you have any professors you remember?
Oh my goodness. Well, I do fondly remember Dr. Bell when I first entered into Krannert. He's one of the reasons I actually attended Purdue. I didn't know anyone. I attended the university without knowing of any classmates, any friends. I had no family. Ventured out on my own. I had scholarships to attend other universities and paid my own way through Purdue without scholarship. However, Dr. Bell was very influential in my decision. And I remembered in the School of Technology, Kate Laskowski. I remember Dr. Laskowski, and I really enjoyed her class. She taught labor relations, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm. I remember Kate. Her careers crossed paths for about 7 or 8 years. I actually worked on some things with her. She was great.
She was. I was a teaching assistant for her, and when I started, my first job was in supervision. I moved out of accounting. I was always good in math. I told you I was at a magnet school. I attended a technical high school because I was very proficient in math. I was taking high school math in grammar school. So I went into Krannert in accounting, and I loved accounting. I was always an introvert. So that was my area. I was so comfortable in that area. But I grew up in a family that was blue collar, worked in manufacturing, and I always heard about the ills of management. All of the problems of management, why the supervisors, really didn't treat employees well. So learning about, at the time, the School of Technology and being more hands-on, it was almost like a combination of the School of Engineering and the School of Business. Hands-on, still business-oriented, combination of both of those schools. I was able to go into the program and immediately recruited out of college by General Motors. So my first job was General Motors, upstate New York. I graduated, walked across the stage, continued across the stage into my U-Haul, where I hitched my red Toyota Celica from West Lafayette to Rochester, New York, to begin my first job working as a supervisor for General Motors with my Polytechnic degree in hand. And so I've always been in management. And I entered into management to solve all of the problems my family had with management. I was going to solve all the problems they ever had with management. So it was just a great experience for me. And I don't know, I did research before starting Purdue, and I knew that Purdue had a great job placement rate. That was important for me, not to go to college as a hobby. I went to college to actually work towards getting a job and ultimately a career. And because of the job placement rate and recruited immediately out of the school, I started as a supervisor and I've continued in management throughout my career. And so I learned a lot from Kate because going into General Motors as a supervisor, I had bargaining unit employees. And she taught labor relations and labor law. And I was able to apply a lot of what she taught us.
So can you tell me how your Purdue experience is relevant to what you're doing today?
My Purdue experience, whether it was in the School of Business, in the Polytechnic Institute primarily, really helped shape how I approach business. I learned how to take my leadership skills, innovation, technology, and where all of those things come together and apply them to how I develop policies, how I lead teams, how I approach issues and solve problems. I am very fortunate in that I was able to learn from great professors, study with just exceptional students in an environment that really challenged me to think differently. And so I was able to take, that same experience into my first job and continue that experience into the next 14 jobs that I've had since I've graduated.
So you've built off of that.
Absolutely. I never had to start over.
Oh, really?
That's right.
So the theme of what's going on right now at Purdue is called Giant Leaps, 150 years of giant leaps. What did Purdue give you as far as you might categorize as a giant leap for you professionally or personally?
I would say, what is a giant leap? First of all, really understanding what that means to me. And for me, how was I able to make significant progress in my professional or personal life? And so what Purdue did to help me make a giant leap was believing in myself, believing that I could take on any problem, any opportunity, regardless of size or scope, degree of scariness or location, that I could just take it on. I felt very confident. I felt well equipped. I felt as if I had the right tools to go out into a brand new world of opportunities and not be afraid to try out these new talents and skills that I had acquired while studying at Purdue.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, self-confidence. So how important is it to your company for today's students to graduate not only with technical skills, but also those other skills that revolve around working in teams, communication, critical thinking?
It's imperative. I think they go hand in hand. You need both the technical skills as well as the soft skills. The technical skills that you learn, whether through a college education or through training, provides you the information you need to know what to do. The soft skills, communication, teamwork, collaboration, I think provides you the training or the experiences you need to know how to do it. So they go hand in hand. It's one thing to know what to do, but if you don't know how to do it and how to do it the right way. So for my company at Duke Energy, we need a well-rounded individual. We need project managers who know how to manage projects, but to manage projects working collaboratively with teams and to know how to communicate effectively. We need engineers who are very sound-minded, critical thinking engineers, analytical engineers, but they know how to communicate. They have a high level of EQ as well as IQ. So we need both.
So what advice would you give to today's Polytechnic students that will help them transition in a giant leap to their professional career from being a student?
I've had the opportunity to visit the campus and meet with students, and I'm so impressed I'm impressed with their level of energy, their level of interest and eagerness in terms of ready to come into the workforce. But the advice I will give them as they are preparing to make their giant leap is to be humble. Coming out of Purdue, you do have this sense of you're able to take on the world. And sometimes you may feel as if you can take on the world by yourself. Be humble. Humble yourself to the organization. Humble yourself to people who have come before you. Humble yourself to people who may be at a level different than your own, regardless of their role or their title. Learn as much as you can about the business that you're in. And when you learn about that business, continue to build on your knowledge and don't be afraid to take on new opportunities. Reflecting back on everything that Purdue has equipped you with, everything that the Polytechnic School has equipped you with to be successful in whatever role you take on. So don't be afraid to take a leap, and if you take a leap, take a giant leap.
As president of Duke Energy's Indiana operations, Melody Birmingham-Byrd was responsible for the company's regulatory strategy, government affairs, and community affairs work in the state. Duke Energy is the largest electric utility here, serving 825,000 customers in 62 of Indiana's 92 counties. Since recording this interview, Melody has been promoted to a role in Duke Energy's national leadership team as Senior Vice President and Chief Procurement Officer. In our next episode of Techies Today, our conversation with Jim Tanous, a clinical associate professor at Purdue Polytechnic Vincennes. Jim teaches supply chain management, and to help his students focus on globalization and leadership, Jim takes them across the world. That's next time. Our podcast is produced at Purdue University in Purdue Polytechnic's Office of Marketing Communications. Follow our college on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Tech Purdue, and follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Techies Today. We've got an email address too. It's techiestoday@purdue.edu. Our executive producer is Melissa Templeton. I'm John O, editor and producer for the podcast. Thanks for listening. That's what's happening for Techies Today.